build construction has commenced. So there's a lot going on here. I'm going to take you around. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you a little bit of changes that had to be made because, you know, once you start laying down the lumber, you find out, yeah, the stuff on paper needed a little bit of tweaking, but I think you'll understand, and I think it'll make sense, and hopefully you'll agree with the decision I made to basically where to take off the excess. You know, something had to give for the flow to be right, to take it from somewhere, and I'll show you where. And most importantly, you know we're starting off with a bang. The 4,500 gallon, 33 feet long aquarium. We're going for it all the way on the very first build. But I think what's going to be really special about that is I'm actually going to show you how to build a 4,500 gallon aquarium, 33 feet long, with nothing more than 2x2 and 1/4 inch plywood. No screws, no glue, that's it. It's going to be, all right. Someone is in the comments right now telling me what I am. That's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's a bad type of humor. I'm sorry. No, we are going to be using literally tons of lumber, serious plywood, lots of screws, lots of construction adhesive. These things are going to be beasts. I build them to last forever. You know, I fiberglass practically the whole thing. And I don't know if Pond Armor is a publicly traded company, but as much pond armor as it's going to take for me for all these aquariums, you might want to buy some of that stock now because I have a feeling they're going to have a good sales quarter. So, oh my gosh. All right, well, let me take you around and show you the decisions and show what we got done so far. So the day after the water change and everything is looking amazing in the 600 gallon Asian jungle. Remember how small those clown loaches were just a little while ago? They are putting on the pounds and not skittish or scared at all, right up front. Those are my boys. But let's see, did we achieve what we were looking to do? The haircut, can we see in the back there? Yeah, pretty good. A little bit of fog to the tank. You know, it is just the next morning or the next day, so it hasn't had a chance to really settle, but I think you can start to see the wood wall back there a little bit better than before. Certainly the top isn't being blocked anymore by the plants, but please excuse the fish. They think they're getting fed, so they're all right up at the front glass. But oh man, it's just as good anyways. We get a chance to really get a close-up on these guys. So even an ecosystem aquarium where I don't do a lot of water changes, and when I do a water change, you know, it is beneficial, of course, right? It is always good, even with all the plants and big sumps and everything. It's always good to just you know, apply the old adage of there's no replacement for displacement, so displace some old water, put in some new water. And I know the car guys are going to say, that's not what that is for. Well, I just adapted it to the aquarium hobby. But yeah, at any rate, point being is that the 600 gallon Asian jungle is looking beautiful. This is a tank I know a lot of people love. It's a tank I love to sit in front of. Especially, you gotta imagine when it's just me sitting here back a little bit. You know, especially after they've been fed, they're all throughout the tank, not all up on the glass, and it is just an awesome tank to look at. Having a 600 gallon, 4-foot deep tank with these community guys, it's really, really cool. Awesome contrast, and kind of, you know, a little bit along the lines of what's going to happen in the Annex 600 gallon. It's going to be more heavily planted, more tightly aquascaped than this, and it's going to have probably all smaller fish. I think it's going to be kind of like a 600 gallon nano aquarium kind of setup, so we'll see. It's going to be something. So I better stop gawking at the Asian jungle aquarium and get back to building that 4,500 gallon 33 footer. Whew, that's a lot of work. Alright, got some measurements going, doing some visualization, and here's the first shipment of wood, first 40 boards of many, and screws by the pounds, and lumber by the ton. That's crazy as it is, that's just enough to get started. That's going to be enough to start working on the base. Oh man, alright, I got a lot of work to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick walk around the Annex, and I'm going to show you what, you know, the foundation for the aquariums and, you know, the flow of the room. As you can see, I've left this open over here, and this is our big aisleway for the 33 footer. And well, let's just walk through. So of course we got the big open middle, and then the 12-foot tank there with nice open space over here and over here. So as I started laying down the base for all the aquariums, so it's key when you're building these aquariums to distribute the weight. They are incredibly heavy, so you want to keep that pounds per square inch in a reasonable number. So I like to build two by 6 high bases. It's going to distribute the weight, and it's going to give me something to bite into when I start building the structure for the aquarium. So as I was laying out the wood for the room, I want it to be as close to 5 feet of interior space in the 4500. So it means I have to build it bigger than 5 feet, right? Because the material is going to eat up some of that space. So for the 33 footer, this is going to be using a 2 by 6 framed method on the outside, and then on the front it'll be 2 by 6 posts that are framed in 2 by 4s where the glass goes. And then in the middle here, these aquariums will actually be 2 by 6 on the structure below the aquarium, but then the walls for the aquarium will actually be 2 by 4 because I don't need to go as heavy with the lumber and it takes less space. And again, I want the inside to be 5 feet, so it's oversized. So this is 68 inches wide, and this one is 68 inches wide. And yeah, I'm going to put a middle piece in there too. I just ran out of wood. So the same thing over here. It's the base is wider than the 5 feet we talked about because I want there to actually be 5 feet inside the tank. And the other thing is, I was thinking about with the aisleway here. I was sort of cutting down the size, but I really like having a 4-foot aisle like this. I don't want these aquariums to be all jammed up on each other. So at any rate, I oversized this. I stayed 4 feet in the aisle, and I oversized this. So where did the space come from? Well, it came from the 12-footer. So it is back to being 12 feet long and 2 feet front to back, and somewhere between 2 to 2.5 feet tall. So we had to take a foot off of that to get us the space. And even then, these little overlaps where we have the 12-footer kind of, over a little bit in front of this tank, not too much. And the same over here, maybe, a foot or two. That's only 3 feet. So, you gotta have, I didn't want to really go thinner than 24 inches, but I think 12 by 24 is going to be a pretty amazing tank. And I think the secret weapon with this tank is, for one, it's going to have small fish in it. So it's going to be massive in scale for the size fish that are going in. But two is, it is going to have a full glass front, like no post in the middle. So you are going to be looking at 12 feet of all glass. And because it's really long and not super wide, it's going to enhance the length of the aquarium. So I think it is going to be still an amazing aquarium, and it's really the counterbalance to the 33 footer, which is impossible. I'll never be able to get the whole tank in frame. Let me see if I go over here. Even then you don't. Any rate, so this monstrosity is going to have monsters in it, monster fish. And anyone who's kept monster fish knows that even in the best scenarios, they fight and they do different stuff. And sometimes you just want to relax, and they're not always the right fish for that. Sorry, a little inspection going on down over here. But what is going to be the fit tank for that is going to be this one here, because this is going to be the super complex, aquascaped, chill, all small, calm, just tranquil fish. This is going to be my Zen tank right here. And it's going to be some levels to it. There's going to be the tank, but there's going to be something going on up above that is going to play into that tank. But I think the whole thing is going to be something else. And speaking of that, remember I mentioned I was going to incorporate the poles into these tanks. So the middle tanks here. Well, the poles aren't going to be in the tank. They're going to be in the filter. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And for anyone who's thinking, that the 12-foot tank having to shave a foot of the depth off of it, well, let's use this for perspective. So the Malawi River Aquarium, it's 6 feet long, and it is only 18 inches from front to back. So we're still going to be 6 inches bigger than that on the 12-footer, and we're going to be 2 times longer than this aquarium, again with no break in the glass, continuous 12 feet of glass, and we're going to be taller than the Malawi River Aquarium. So I think once you see it, even though we had to make a compromise somewhere, I think that tank is really going to pop, even though I had to shave off some of the size of the aquarium. So when I'm talking about the new wetland filters, I keep coming back to the 315 build, which I haven't debuted yet, but it has a functioning wetland filter on it. And all of the tanks in the Annex over there are going to have wetland filters. So the 33 footer and the two middle tanks, the 1500s, they're going to have wetland filters very similar to this one here, just on a larger scale. And the Zen tank, we'll call it the Zen tank now, the 12 footer, is going to have a slightly different version of this. It's going to be a wetland filter, but it's going to be arranged differently than how the other tanks are. So I just wanted to sort of show, you know, what it's going to look like where the poles. So the poles are going to be boxed in this area here. So these are the kinds of things they're going to be growing around that pole, and it'll make sense when we go back in the Annex, and I'll show you the idea for that. And my helper's taking the shortcut. And, oh, she wants me to point out that yes, there's more wetland filter back over there. Okay, so like I was pointing out with the Malawi River, you know, that's only half this aquarium, and that's only you know, 3/4 of the aquarium in the width. So this is still going to be a monster. That 12 foot of continuous glass is going to be amazing, and it's going to have a wetlands filter that's done a little differently. Think, instead of inside the tank, above the tank. And of course, the other thing is, as I mentioned, the construction is a little different. Super heavy duty 2x6, you know, 1 inch thick ply on the mega tank. Predator base style, 2x6 on the bottom, you know, 1 inch thick ply on the bottom, and then 2x4 framing and 3/4 inch ply on the sides. And then for the Zen aquarium, no framing, just 3/4 inch plywood with internal bracing. So the reason we're doing that is because we're going to maximize our 2 feet. We're not going to have to give up 3.5 inches or 5.5 inches on the walls. So we're going to maximize the space by using different construction for each build. So you can see that I have all the bases built out. So the key here, like I said, was just to make sure the flow works. You don't want to get too far down the path and it not work. Okay, got you back on the tripod one more time. We're just going to kind of go through the layout. So right over here, coming out from the fish basement into the Annex, we have this pathway over here that flows to the right of the aquariums. We have the big middle aquariums, 10x5s. We have the big open space in the middle. Coming over to here, we have a big open space in front of the big aquarium here, and a big open space in front of the aquarium here. So very good viewing angles. Very good viewing angle for the 12-footer, of course, and of course the 33-footer. I mean, the whole room is the viewing angle of this guy. And we have big pathways. You can see this is a big open space, so we are not cramped. So this is the layout. The bases are in. It is time to start bringing these guys up. So from this point on, I'm going all in on the 33-footer. These bases will just sit here. You know, if you see me do something, maybe it's just because I was, you know, cutting a whole bunch of wood and said, oh, let me just go ahead and lay these, you know, these footer beams or whatever, you know. But mostly 99% focusing on the 33-footer, taking that all the way. So the 4500, like I said, is going to be first, and that's going to be my main focus from now till however long it takes me to build it. And like I've mentioned in some comments and things like that, is I have some surprises for the 33-footer. It is not just going to be a big box. There's some special stuff going on inside of it, in addition to the wetlands filter. So basically, some things I'm putting in place to account for the fact that it's so long. We want to keep that a healthy ecosystem all the way through. And once I start building it, you'll see early on, because the structure will dictate, you know, some of the things I'm doing, and I'll obviously talk about it as well. And one other thing is, all along the way, I'm going to be making these vlog style videos with the progress on everything going on and all the other tanks, but I'm also taking separate video where I go a little more detail, a little more in depth on just the building part of the aquarium. I'm going to do that for each aquarium. So, you know, I don't know when it's going to be, but down the road when the 4500 is all done and all the fish are moved in, we're going to have a video building the 4500, and that one's going to be for somebody, well, who's insane like me and wants to build something like that, or just, you know, wants to build something smaller, but, you know, using the same methods and principles. So I'll definitely, in that video footage, I'll focus in a little bit. You know, I'm not going to video the complete build, but I'll show, hey, here's how I'm doing a seam with fiberglassing. Here's how I'm filling stuff. Here's how I'm, you know, making this structure rigid, you know, those sorts of things. And then obviously the whole path of building it. A lot like the building the 3000 video, but I think I'm better at making the videos now than I was a couple years ago. So hopefully a better version of that, you know, we'll see. I don't know why I show the Discus aquarium like in every single video now. I love this aquarium so much, so I just assumed that everybody else would like to see it as much as I do, but this is the tank, remember, where we had some trouble when we first cut it over. You know, we had some hair algae and that sort of thing, and it took a little bit for the ecosystem to get established, but man, has it come a long way, and it is doing awesome now. So it's not only has the ecosystem fully established and the hair algae cut down, we've added the plants on the top now, so we're giving it the jungle treatment up there, and oh my gosh, to the the plants down to the sump. Yeah, they're going nuts. So it's just, I always get really excited when an aquarium gets fully established, and this one is fully established now. So I like to show it off. I'm sorry. Like I said, I just can't imagine anyone who wouldn't appreciate this aquarium, because these Discus are just so beautiful. Oh my gosh. All right, back to the Annex. Okay, the reason I wanted to show you the wetlands filters is because all of these tanks are going to have variants of wetland filters. So let's start with the 33 footers. So over here on the left hand side is going to be a massive wetland filter. The first 4 feet of it and 5 feet tall is going to be a massive wetlands filter. Now, like I meant, I'm going to but in addition to that, there's also going to be some other things going on in the aquarium that are going to aid that filtration. But for now, we'll just focus on that there's going to be a huge wetland filter there. In the middle tanks, there is going to be a large wetland filter here on the pole side of both aquariums. So I'm not going to be doing any sumps underneath. That'll keep this tank lower so it won't block all the view of the 3300. And it will also make my life easier as I get older, because I can operate on a filter that's right here down into it versus going underneath a big tank, which, you know, the older you get, that's just not that pleasant. It was never pleasant, even when I was in my teens, you know, I didn't like doing it. So at any rate, this is going to be part of the filter, or it's going to be boxed around, the filter's going to be around it, but what's going to happen is you saw the plants were growing out of the wetlands filter. Well, I'm going to add some scaffolding on here that the plants can bite onto and grow onto. So this is going to get covered by the wetland plants. And oh yes, I got electrical outlets in the ceiling. That might be a good place for a light, so those plants grow right up that pole. And that's going to be the same thing over here, exact same thing. And yes, there's electrical outlet right there. It's almost like this room was just built specifically for aquariums. Man, is it nice. Not having to work around stuff, just, you know, having everything where you need it. Kind of like water right there. Got water, electricity, dehumidification, and lots of giant tanks. Whew, this is going to be something. So as you can see, I definitely have my work cut out for me, but I also have built a few of these before, and I know what I'm doing, and I have a pretty good process. So it may not look like a lot yet, because there was a lot of time spent measuring and formulating these bases and everything like that, but as well as hauling copious amounts of lumber, which I have stacked outside, so that once I get going, I can get going. But it is all in on the 3300 now, so it's going to go in phases. Obviously, like sometimes you'll look at it and it'll look like I've done an immense amount of work, and other times it'll be more subtle visually. But I will be focusing on it, so it's not something that's going to drag on forever. It's going to get built. It's going to get built in a pretty good time frame. So because like we talked about, it's the chain reaction tank. Once everything goes to the 3000 and the 4500, it just starts a chain reaction of rescapes and all that stuff. So it's going to be exciting stuff. And then we have these other 3 builds. We're gonna, who knows how we'll do the cadence to it, but they'll all get done, and we just got a ton of stuff going on. So thank you for watching, and if any of this interests you, please subscribe and come back, and because I can promise you one thing, I'm going to be making a bunch of videos, and I'm going to be building a bunch of crazy tanks. So succeed or fail, check back to see what happens. All right, thanks for watching, and patrons and members, as always, I appreciate your support. Helps me with my aquarium addiction. I thank you guys.